Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I am Tom.
Hi, I am Stephanie.
That's who we are. And who are you? Well, you're people who live in Taiwan, and that's our unit for today. And, of course, as you know, there are lots of places to go in Taiwan, lots of things to see and do. And today we're going to be talking about some kind of flower that is popular in Taiwan. Daylilies. Daylilies, okay? Just in case you need to know, I think the Chinese term for this is golden needles.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it in Chinese, Tom. You like to do that.
Well, I think people can probably figure that out pretty well.
I do know lilies. A lot of times, the most fragrant flowers are those lilies that are very popular. You know, if you go and get flowers for people. When they get older, they don't smell so good. But this is a particular kind of lily that is native to Taiwan. So we're going to talk about it, where you can see it, and a little bit about this flower. I think we have beautiful flowers here in Taiwan. Let's get started, guys. We're going to read through today's unit.
It's early morning, and the sun is peeking over the horizon. As the minutes pass, a soft glow spreads over the fields of daylilies on Liushidan Mountain, creating a dazzling display. The fiery orange flowers are in full bloom, and you can't help but stare at them in awe. This magical moment is the very reason you've traveled to Hualien County. The orange daylilies, called golden needles for their color and shape, just prior to blossoming, grow in a few locations around Taiwan. Liushidan, however, is the best place to view these beautiful flowers when they bloom between July and September. Orange daylilies weren't always grown on Liushidan, though. This practice began after the 8/7 floods of 1959, which destroyed farms all over the western side of the island. It was necessary for affected families to resettle, and many did so in Hualien County, where the soil on Liushidan was suitable for daylily farming. Farmers must harvest the buds within 1 day for them to be eaten or preserved, as the flower buds are only edible before they bloom. Iron-rich daylilies are often seen in Taiwanese cuisine. They can be enjoyed deep-fried or added to soups and stir-fried dishes for their delicious flavor and bright color. They're also believed to aid with sleeplessness, soothe sore throats, and help stop bleeding, which makes them a significant ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine. Nevertheless, many farmers nowadays allow them to bloom for the economic benefit that flower viewing tourists bring to the area. Whether as a gorgeous summertime sea of flowers or an important ingredient in medicines and meals, Taiwan's orange daylilies are certainly a sight worth seeing.
Okay, guys, we're talking about a beautiful flower found here in Taiwan called the daylily. It's kind of an orange color. I was surprised to find out you can also eat them. There are some flowers that you can eat. We call that edible, being edible. But there are other flowers that you shouldn't be eating. I remember when I was growing up, there was this bush that a lot of people would grow in Arizona to kind of give them, that would block the view from their house to the street. It was kind of like a fence. It would grow so high. But if you ate those flowers, you would die.
Oh, no, that means they're poisonous.
Yes, you got to be careful, guys. Just don't go outdoors and think you can eat anything you find. It can be dangerous.
Be careful. So I guess the golden needles here, or daylilies, are edible, which means they can be eaten. But only at certain times, okay, as we're going to find out. So it's early morning, and the sun is peeking over the horizon. So imagine this scenario. It's early in the morning, maybe 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., and the sun is rising. It's peeking over the horizon. The horizon, of course, is the line between the land and the sky, especially when you're viewing it from a distance, the horizon. So that's where the sun will be when it rises. It will rise over the horizon or just peek over as if you are trying to peek over a wall or something. And as the minutes pass, a soft glow spreads over the fields of daylilies on Liushidan Mountain, creating a dazzling display. That sounds quite impressive.
Sounds beautiful, actually. So as the minutes pass, and you're right there experiencing this, of course, a soft glow spreads over the fields of daylilies on a mountain called Liuxidan, and it's creating a dazzling display. So you're right there at the horizon where, the earth meets the sky. That's the horizon. And as you sit and watch, you can see this really soft light. That's what a glow is. A glow is usually kind of a steady light that we'll see. Sometimes we would say that the TV, if the lights were off, the TV screen would glow. Or maybe your computer monitor will glow. It's not a bright light, but it is a very soft, steady light. And that spreads over the fields of daylilies. If you've looked these up or you've been there yourself, you know that the fields are beautiful. They're filled with this orange-colored flower, and those are the daylilies we're talking about in this particular unit. Now, they're found on a place called Liuxidan Mountain, and it says here that it's creating a dazzling display. So dazzling usually means a very bright, intense kind of thing. You could describe the light as being dazzling. If you kind of have to close your eyes, it's so bright. So that's a bright light. But we'll also use it to talk about things that aren't so literal, things that are more figurative. For example, oh, she has a dazzling smile. Or wow, her talent is dazzling. It's just amazing. Very beautiful or even skillful. But typically, if you see dazzling, it will refer to how something is really bright, especially your eyes adjusting to a bright light. You could say, ooh, that light's really dazzling.
Indeed, and of course, all of this is describing Liuxidan Mountain, which I believe is down in Hualien. And the fiery orange flowers are in full bloom, and you can't help but stare at them in awe. So remember, when flowers come out at certain times of the year, you could say those flowers are in bloom. I think cherry blossoms are in bloom in February. The Yotong blossoms are in bloom in May. And various times of the year. So here, of course, these particular orange flowers are in bloom. Bloom could also be a noun, blooms as flowers.
Yeah, for the noun, it could also be blossoms. We probably use that more for the noun than blooms. But yeah, it can be both.
And you can't help but stare at them in awe. Awe, of course, means something is really impressive. It's so impressive so much that it takes your breath away. You can't really do anything because it's so awesome. It's so great. It's so fantastic. And this is a phrase here to be in awe. I was in awe of Michael Jordan's performance in the basketball game. So here, of course, you're in awe at these flowers. Wow, that's so fantastic. I can't do anything. It's just so wonderful. It's so dazzling. My goodness, how could I ever attempt to repeat this experience in my life?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky word, those guys. You need to memorize in with the awe because you can't stare at something awe. Or, you could stare at something with awe, but in awe is used most of the time. So if something's really impressive and wow, you just can't believe someone is that gifted or talented or it looks that beautiful. I was in awe. So this magical moment's the very reason or, the reason why you've gone all the way over there to Hualien County. Hualien's pretty amazing, though. There are other things to see, too, but this is something that you don't want to miss. It's a magical moment.
Yeah, there are only a few places in Taiwan that are still called counties, like Hualien County, Taidong County, but everything else is kind of merging. But in any case, of course, as you know, there's Hualien City and Hualien County, which is more in the countryside. Now, here it says the orange daylilies, called golden needles for their color and shape just prior to blossoming, grow in a few locations around Taiwan. So we're talking about orange daylilies. That's what they're called in English. But in Chinese, I guess the term is golden needles. They're called that because of their color and because of their shape, which they have just before they blossom, just prior to. So prior to just means before. Prior to the rainstorm, it was a very hot day. for example. So here, prior to blossoming, they have this shape. And later when they blossom, I guess they're no longer golden and they no longer look like needles.
Yeah, notice that the word following prior to is actually a gerund, the verb ing. So prior to leaving, I made sure my apartment door was locked. Or prior to coming to Taiwan, I lived in New York. So yeah, make sure you use the correct version of the word following prior to, or you could just say, like Tom said, just before blossoming. But sometimes you want to, shake up your English a little, not always use the same words and phrases. Moving on, these are growing in a few locations around Taiwan. So Liushidan, however, is the best place to view these beautiful flowers when they bloom, and this is the verb form of that word, between July and September. So they're kind of a summer flower when it's really quite hot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Right now it's August. That is between July and September.
It is.
So my goodness, we should head down to Hualien and check out these flowers. I've seen these flowers down in Taidong on some mountain down there. I can't remember.
Oh,
Was
really?
it Daren or Dawu or someplace down there south of Taidong City?
Like a whole field of
Well,
flowers?
it was on a mountain. You had to drive into the mountains, and they were on this mountain there.
Huh.
You could hike around and take a look at them. It was kind of cool.
Did they grow wild or did they have to be planted?
That part, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if some people grew them on purpose or if they grew wild.
Yeah.
Saw some weird wild animal up there, too, that I had never seen before. I don't know what it was.
Scary.
But in any case, yes, these flowers, of course, are grown in certain places around Taiwan. You probably know where they are. Now is a good time to go check them out. And we'll continue talking about daylilies in just a second, but right now we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们首先来看到第一个空格的句子，前面写着 As the minutes pass, a soft glow spreads over the fields of daylilies on 60担 mountain. Blank 1, a dazzling display. 前面呢有个连接词 as 来连接前后两个完整的句子，后面句子的主词是 a soft glow， 动词 spreads over the fields 点点点，所以它已经是一个完整的句型结构。在这里提到呢，当这个光芒洒在60担山的金针花田上，延续前面的这样子的意象，同时也就营造出耀眼的画面。所以在这里文法上我们可以用分词构句 creating， 这里来代表着原先是用来表达 which creates 的意象，所以根据文法第一题的标准答案，正确的文法应该选择 D 选项 creating。第二个句子写着 The fiery orange flowers are in full bloom.And you blank two at them in all. 这里提到的就是金针花，火红的橙花盛开着，而你怎么样惊叹着盯着它们看。这里要考同学忍不住、禁不住，后面再加动词的用法，有两种用途，一种是用 can't help 加上 VING 的形式，或者是用 can't help but加上原形动词，在这里合乎文法的只有 C 选项 can't help but 加上原形动词，也就是代表着你忍不住呢惊叹的盯着它看。第二题的标准答案就选择 C 选项。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about our beautiful island of Taiwan here and focusing our attention on a flower in particular that is native to Taiwan called the daylily. It's an orange flower. And we described a scene in the first paragraph, which was what we usually do in these articles. So it's a scene that you could see if you took a trip over to Liushidan Mountain in Hualien County. I lived in Hualien a long time ago. It's a beautiful place. But these orange flowers are quite dazzling. They have a very fiery color, really bright red-orange color, you could say. And that's when they're in full bloom. That's what you'll see is this beautiful orange flower. And sometimes you'll just see whole fields of them. I love fields of flowers. Certain countries have fields of flowers like, Holland. They have all those tulips that you can go see. Well, we have our own fields of flowers here in Taiwan, and that's our daylilies. And this is just the right time. They're blooming between July and September.
But orange daylilies weren't always grown on Liushidan, though, or however. This practice began after the 8/7 floods of 1959, which destroyed farms all over the western side of the island. So ask your grandparents about that. Maybe they can remember when there was a big flood or floods in different parts of the western area of Taiwan, and they destroyed lots of those daylily farms there. So it was necessary for affected families to resettle, and many did so in Hualien County, where the soil on Liushidan was suitable for daylily farming. So, yes, you've got a lot of farmers over there, in Yunlin or Zhanghua or Tainan or whatever, and there were some floods in 1959, destroying all their crops, and they thought, gee, we still need to feed the family, What are we going to do? Well, we got to move somewhere, so they resettled, which means they moved someplace else to live. So they went to Hualien County because, hey, there's some good soil over there. Soil, of course, is the dirt. You need to have good soil to grow plants in, to grow crops. So they moved to Liushidan because the soil there was suitable for daylily farming. Here we've got the word suitable, which means it's appropriate for this particular situation. It's useful for growing the flowers there. So I guess the land was available at the time. Maybe it wasn't too expensive, and maybe the government helped them out. Hey, we'll help you move to Hualien, and you can resume your lives just like you did, or just like you had when you lived in the West.
Pretty nice. So if you use suitable, like Tom says, it's kind of appropriate for something particular. Maybe it's a person. I know sometimes if you go into a toy store, the toys will be marked with words that say like suitable or not suitable for children under 4 or children under 5. Because sometimes they put those little pieces in their mouths and choke. Or maybe you have a job interview and you think you've worn the right clothes, and then your mom sees you and says, no, you can't wear that. You've got to go put on a suit, or you need a tie. So you sometimes have to dress appropriately or suitably for a particular purpose or situation. And of course, the land there, the soil, is really suitable for daylily farming. They have to take that sort of thing into account when they're either planting flowers or vegetables. Maybe they're growing some crops.
Okay, so because of that, we've got these farms in the mountains of Hualien and Caidong, maybe some other places. And farmers must harvest the buds within 1 day for them to be eaten or preserved, as the flower buds are only edible before they bloom. So, yes, you need to know what you're doing here. Of course, when you bring food in from the fields to take to market, you harvest the food. So here the buds are just the small parts of the flower that are just opening up. Buds, that's what happens to a leaf before it becomes a leaf. It's a bud. And so they need to do that. They harvest the buds within just 1 day.
Wow.
And then they can be eaten or preserved, which means they're treated somehow, maybe with salt or something, or put in jars or something so they can be eaten later because, well, they're only edible before they bloom. Edible just means it's okay to eat them. We use this word when we talk about foods that can be eaten, like certain flowers are edible.
Yeah, preserve, we'll use this. It's a verb here. It just means to keep something in its original state or condition. If you grow things like my grandpa grew corn, we would then preserve it. We would cut the corn off the cob and put it in jars to keep it fresh tasting so we could eat later. So those are actually called preserves. If you see jam and jelly in jars, you'll often hear them referred to as preserves. So moving on, we've got iron-rich daylilies. So they're very nutritious for you, and they're often put into Taiwanese cuisine. Cuisine is a word we use to talk about a particular culture's food. We all have different types of cuisine. It's a style or method of cooking, especially from a particular country or culture. They can be enjoyed deep fried. That would be my choice. Or you could add them to soups or stir-fried dishes. They've got a delicious flavor, and of course, the very bright color would make the dish look beautiful.Yeah,
that sounds familiar. Maybe I've had deep-fried daylilies before. I think they put some kind of coating on them, some kind of breading or something.
Tempura, yeah.
Okay, that sounds right. And they fry them in oil, and they can be very crunchy.
Yum.
Or you can, of course, have them in soups, or you can have them in stir-fried dishes because they have this great flavor and that bright color. Remember, flavor and color are both important in your food. Now, they're also believed to aid with sleeplessness, soothe sore throats, and help stop bleeding, which makes them a significant ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine. So sleeplessness, when you can't sleep, you're nervous about an exam or a business deadline or something, maybe if you have some daylilies, it will help you sleep. Or if you have a sore throat and you need to talk or give a speech, then maybe you can have some daylilies and they will soothe your sore throat, make it less severe. And also, if you have trouble shaving like I do sometimes, when I use an old razor and I push too hard on my face to shave, then I start bleeding, and sometimes I can't get it to stop. So maybe eating this will help, I guess, thicken my blood or something so it doesn't bleed so much.
I don't know how they work. That's kind of cool, though, to have that, around to help you. So it says these are things that they actually use them for. And then in the next sentence, it says nevertheless. So those are the practical reasons, but nevertheless, here's the less practical reason. Many farmers nowadays, or in this present day, allow them to bloom for the economic benefit that flower viewing tourists bring to the area. That's another way that they contribute to Taiwan and to the economy is that tourists love to see beautiful things. I literally will go out of my way if there's a field of flowers somewhere. I just love that look. Economic just means relating to your economy, whether it's the city, the state, the county, the country. We all are concerned about the economy. We want our economies to be doing well.And
of course, tourism, of course, is quite popular in Taiwan.
Yeah.
People have got their smartphones. They're dying to use them. They're dying to take pictures, selfies to post on social media. So they're always looking for something to pose in front of. So if these farmers offer them these nice fields, they'll get lots of tourists to come to take their selfies. And they could also maybe offer some cooked dishes for them to buy while they're there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good for the economy here. And whether as a gorgeous summertime sea of flowers or an important ingredient in medicines and meals, Taiwan's orange daylilies are certainly a sight worth seeing. This is a common construction here that we use as a way to end an article. You can say whether it's this or it's this, well, still, you have this. So whether it's a gorgeous summertime sea of flowers, or if it's an important ingredient in medicines, or if it's a tasty food, or if it's something that you can pose in front of for a picture, well, because of all these things, Taiwan's orange daylilies are a sight worth seeing. I must concur with that, especially after seeing them a couple of years ago down in Taidong.
Nice.
Yeah, again, I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was pretty cool.
Can I mention quickly this medicines, one of those tricky non-count words? If the doctor gives you some medicine to take and it's just, your medicine, don't put the S on it. Here we're putting the S on as if we're saying like oceans, like oceans around the world. If you're just talking about, your medicine or your family's medicine, don't put an S on it, guys. This is lots of different kinds of medicines. And even then you could leave the S off as well. So these sound like a wonderful type of flower, whether you are wanting just to see something beautiful or you want something that can help you practically, this is the flower for you. Right now, we're going to listen, actually, one more time to our Chinese teacher.
第三个空格前面提到87水灾造成了整座岛屿西部的农地呢都受到了摧毁。延续这样的文意 It was necessary for blank 3 families to resettle. 造成这么多人受损，所以这些被影响的受灾户必须要重新安置。于是很多人就移居到了花莲县。我们讲到呢 affect 是指影响，那么讲到受灾户就可以说 the affected families。我们也常常提到的灾区也可以说 the affected area， 所以第三题的标准答案就选择 C affected， 解释成为被影响的。而 A 的选项 effect， 它当作动词则是有造成产生的意思，在这里不符合文意。接着第四个空格的句子写着Farmers must harvest the buds within 1 day for them to be eaten or preserved. Blank 4, the flower buds are only edible before they bloom. 这里提到农民必须要在1天内采收完花苞，以便食用或者是保存。为什么要这么做呢？因为原因是后面花苞只有在开花之前才能够食用，所以在这里呢用来表达后面的原因，在这里选择适合的连接词。第四题的 A 选项 as 因为 B while 正当什么时候 C although 尽管虽然 D but但是因为呢必须要在开花前食用，所以就要1天内采收完毕。第四题的标准答案就选择 A as。第五个空格 They are also believed to aid with sleeplessness, soothe sore throats, and help stop bleeding, which makes them a and blank 5 ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine. 这里提到金针花的好处许多，所以呢就成为传统中医上的怎么样的一个 ingredient 原料。第五题 A 选项 obedient 顺从的， B suspicious 可疑的， C thoughtful 体贴的， D significant 重要的。好处许多，所以就造就金针花成为传统中药里面很重要的一种原料。第五题搭配文意就选择 D significant。 第六个空格的句子写着Nevertheless, many farmers nowadays allow them to bloom for the economic blank 6 that flower viewing tourists bring to the area. 尽管它是很重要的中药材，现今许多的农民还是会让它开花。它的原因就是要获取这些赏花游客们在这个地区所带来的经济的什么？第六题 A 选项 benefit 好处利益， B treatment 对待， C chapter章节， D depression 沮丧。因为呢这些赏花的游客会带来经济上面的利益跟好处。搭配文意，第六题答案就选择 A benefit。最后一个句子后半句写着 Taiwan's orange daylilies are certainly a sight worth blank 7. 所以有空的话就来看看台湾的金针花吧，因为这金针花绝对是值得怎么样。在这里的 worth 是形容词，解释成为值得什么的，后面如果加动词要以 VING 的形式来呈现。所以第七题标准答案就选择 D seeing。OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And hey, get down to Hualien and Taidong to check out those daylilies while you still can. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.